Hello there, my name is Isabel Dixon. I am an actor, and I'm guessing the reason why you've clicked on this video is because you've seen that I am a producer, director, writer, and I've made 2 award-winning short films that I'm very proud of. So the purpose of this video is that I want to share some insight into how I made my first short film, Rapid, that I wrote, produced, directed, and starred in. I have never been to film school. The way I kind of got the confidence to create my short film was because I had been on set as an actor so many times. I'd made about 12 short films at that point as the lead actor. I'd done feature films, web series, commercials, proper productions with ABC. So I had that kind of understanding on the filmmaking process. So if you want to make a short film, I don't think you need to go to film school. I think just get on set, get that experience, and network and understand what the process of what being on set is like before you delve into it. By the way, this painting behind me, it's a photograph. It's of Tim Minchin, so it's not just some random naked guy in the background. Perhaps I'll show you the full image of it later so that you don't think I'm just here with a naked guy behind me. I'm going to break down this video into 3 steps. The first step will be the writing process, why I wrote it, simple ways in which you can write your own short film. Secondly, how I directed and acted Rapid. I'm going to break down how I directed and acted at the same time. I'm also going to break down the creative vision I had for Rapid and the choices I made to reflect that creative vision. Lastly, I'll just top it off with how I produced the film from pre-production to post-production, give you some insight into crowdfunding, budgeting, hiring cast and crew, all that jazz. Let us begin with part 1, writing the script. So Rapid, in case you haven't watched the film yet, you can watch, the link will be in my bio. It's about a rapid cycling bipolar episode. So our main character goes on a journey of a rapid cycling episode. She starts off depressed, then she moves to manic, then she moves to psychotic. It's a cycle. And the reason I wanted to delve into bipolar disorder is because I'm very passionate about mental health. I have my own experience with mental health. And the thing about bipolar that really struck me was that I'd never seen it depicted honestly in film and television. The characters with bipolar were always, they weren't human, they weren't relatable. The audience didn't see themselves in that character. And there's such a human aspect of going through something like a rapid cycling bipolar episode. It's a human experience for some people. So I really wanted to shed some light onto what it actually looks like to have a rapid cycling bipolar disorder episode. And I wanted to give a voice to the community and make people who perhaps suffer with mental illness or know people that suffer with mental illness, I wanted to give them a voice and make them feel seen and heard. That was always my purpose. So the writing process, I wrote the script in 2020. I was very, very inspired. I wrote the first draft, and the first draft is very different to the final draft of the film. And one thing that really helped me that I recommend you do as well is find a mentor who can look over your script and give you advice. So I had 2 friends that I asked who were established screenwriters. I gave them my script and I asked them to give me feedback. Moving on to directing and acting. So there is a certain skill in being the lead actor of your short film and directing the short film. And we know many celebrities do this nowadays. Bradley Cooper did it with A Star Is Born and he nailed it. So the process that I undertook for directing and acting in this short film was having a monitor and watching back my footage. So I would shoot the scene, perform the scene, and if I felt like I did good acting, I would just go straight into another take. Or if I felt like something was a little bit off or I really wanted to see visually what was going on, I would go to the monitor and watch it back. The way I knew if I'd done a good take was a certain feeling, and you get that feeling after years of experience acting. I also knew how to critique my performance from doing years of self-tapes. So I would watch myself back in these self-tapes, understand, oh, that line, something's a little bit off there, or I could have a better motivation on this line. This isn't too clear. This is what my face looks like when I feel this emotion. And it can be very, very critical. And I was able to use that technical knowledge and aspect and apply it to the directing of my performance in Rapid. A challenge I found with directing was I think it was my first time directing a film. I directed plays before, but this time I had to command a set and be the knowledge behind every single question. So I would have every single department asking me questions and I had to confidently provide an answer. And there were times where I didn't know the answer, or perhaps I second guessed myself, but I had a really supportive crew that were made up of my friends. So they were patient with me and helped guide me into making those decisions and giving me the confidence to kind of back myself. Let's break down the film. This is my favorite part. I'm going to give you all the process behind production design, costume design, editing, all the aspects of production now, and the creative vision I had behind making Rapid. So Rapid, as I mentioned before, is split into 3 parts: depression, mania, psychosis. And I really wanted each different experience to be visually stimulating and really separate. So for example, in the depression part, I wanted dull, dark colors, and the mania part, I wanted bright, bubblegum, kids' imagination colors. And psychosis, I wanted red, red, red. And that really helped my cinematographer and my production designer, costume designer, to understand what we were really aiming for and achieving for aesthetically. As I said, for depression, I wanted those gray, dark, dull tones. And Ella Dean, my amazing costume designer and production designer, really took that on board. So for my costume as the lead actor, I wore grays, black trackies, unwashed hair, no makeup. I looked feral. But you got to commit to these roles. You got to look ugly if you want to get that kind of gritty look. And then when we're in the theater scene, you can see that all the different actors and the director of the theater scene are wearing gothic clothing, and their makeup is very gothic and purple and black. Okay, let's break down the depression scene. So we'll start off with the first location, which was the cliffs at Maroubra. I chose Maroubra because I have a personal connection to the place. It has such rich history for me. And those cliffs are very foreboding, and the edges are very jagged. When you look down at the ocean, it's very daunting. So I wanted that kind of feel for the suicidal mindset. I say suicidal mindset, it's the suicidal mindset. So the time we shot was at dusk, and I really wanted that end of day feel because it's kind of symbolizing the closure of something. Perhaps it's symbolizing the closure of her life. A suggestion made by my cinematographer, Reese William Nicholson, who I am so lucky to have had on board. He is a creative genius, a visionary, and he contributed so many amazing ideas to this production. So I was very grateful to have someone of his experience and caliber working on my film. And he was a finalist at the European Cinematography Awards for Best Cinematography for Rapid. So that just speaks volume for his talent. An idea that Reese came up with was having wide, lonely frames for the depression episode. The very first shot of Rapid is a wide frame with Emma, the protagonist, standing on the edge of a cliff. That frame is seen scattered throughout the depression section of the film. We'll cut now to the theatre scene. So we shot it at Flight Path Theatre in Marrickville. Again, I had a personal connection to this space. I'd done 4 plays there. I felt very creative and inspired in that space. So I was very lucky that they let me use the space. The monologue scene. It is just a single spotlight on this character as she delves into a monologue, portraying, kind of delving into the suicidal mindset she was in and taking us on that journey. My soundy, Patrick Noon, did a really good job of capturing sound in this monologue. You can really hear the character's breath as she kind of gasps for air. It creates a kind of anxious aspect to the performance.
So I fly for a second. Down, down, into the jaws of rock and tide.
Moving on to the apartment scene. Now this location was, I think it was found 3 days before we started shooting. So I found this art gallery in the city and they happened to have a kitchen there. So they let us use the space, dress it up, use the kitchen, the whole shebang. The establishing shot in that apartment scene is just a wide shot of the apartment and myself, the lead character, moving throughout the space. What I really enjoyed personally with that scene was I was able to use my theater skills from being on stage to move throughout the space and make it come alive, make the scene come alive. We then went straight from that wide still shot to a handheld shot of the anxiety panic attack. And that is our first time really feeling that anxious, unstable, unhinged kind of moment with the camera movements. So Reese did a really good job tracking me there, and I think it really worked out well. Moving into the fun part of the film, which is the mania side of the bipolar episode. I actually wrote into the script, I stole this from Sam Levinson's script in Euphoria, or script writing technique in Euphoria, where he actually wrote the camera shots that he wanted. So from the transition from depression into mania, I actually wrote into the script, I wanted a dolly movement straight ahead with all the colors of the depression going straight to the colors and the lights of the mania part of the script. I just realized I must look so crazy talking about this, but I'm just really passionate about filmmaking. My vision for mania aesthetically was bubblegum colors, like a kid's imagination, vibrant, saturated, an explosion of color. And one thing that really portrayed that really well in this next part of the scene, which is me cleaning the apartment, was an idea by the production designer Ella Dean. She had this idea to cover the apartment when the character is depressed in those gray neutral tones, rubbish everywhere, make it gritty, make it disgusting. And in the mania part of the film is ripping blankets off and discovering vibrant, colorful furniture and ripping and sweeping rubbish across the table and putting flowers on and making everything really bright and colorful, ripping curtains off the wall. She is a genius. That was such an amazing idea, and it really, really worked well. A note on editing here, my editor, Blake Gamble, oh my God, so talented. This is a reason why he won Best Editing at the Gold Movie Awards UK. Literally the entire festival, he won Best Editing for Rapid. And I think this scene could be the reason why. He made certain aspects of the cleaning really, really fast and fast forwarded, and then it would change straight away to slow-mo, and it would change from one section of the room to another section of the room to turning on the tap and then having the audience anxious about the tap running when she's running around the room. It was very, very clever editing, and it really nailed that scene. Of course, we must talk about the elephant in the room, which is the costume of the mania, the pink dress. Ella Dean, our production designer, was also the costume designer on Rapid, and we tossed some ideas back and forth about what we wanted the manic outfit to be. We sent some ideas back and forth, went on Pinterest, and then I found Jodie Comer in that infamous pink dress from season 1 of Killing Eve, and I just knew that is the look I wanted. I sent it to Ella, she was totally on board, and of course she won Best Costume Design at the Hollywood Gold Awards. Very well deserved. Okay, so now we move on to, I think, people's favorite part of Rapid, which is the ridiculous dance number. Because why not have a dance number in your short film when you're manic? Why not? So much fun. Now, I was very lucky to have choreographer Naomi Lee to come on board and choreograph this number. She was also one of the dancers in the number. So the vision behind this was to have the characters from the depressive episode come back and be part of Emma, the protagonist's imagination and her experience, except dressed up as colorful characters. Ella and I had a lot of fun choosing the costumes. I think we went to House of Priscilla in Sydney and hired these sequin pink numbers. It was so much fun. The makeup as well, glitter, pink, blues, really colorful, really almost drag, almost clownish, just really over the top, beautiful makeup. So the location we used was the Greener Grocer in Maroubra, which was my local grocery store. And I just messaged them on Instagram and said, hey, I'm making this short film. Can we use your grocery store? And they were like, yeah, no worries. Super nice of them. They said we could use the space after hours whilst the cleaners were in. So we had a window from about, I can't remember, maybe it was like 7 to 11 p.m., 3 hours to shoot the dance number. Naomi and I sussed out the location prior to shooting. So she found certain areas of the grocery store that she was inspired by. So for example, you'll see in the film, there's little mounds of food, which we pop up behind and jump up from behind when the dance number begins. So it's just really fun and silly and over the top. Another reason I wanted that grocery store was because it was colorful. There's so many vibrant colors in a grocery store, and the color grading is oversaturated with that one. So it just, I'm in love with it. It worked out so well. The transition from mania to psychosis was a tricky one because obviously we're going from a dance sequence, over the top, comedic, funny, to something quite serious. Now, I sent an idea to Blake, which thankfully he was on board for, which I think really worked really well. This is the idea that I wanted, and Blake did a really good job. He was so on board, and I think that's another reason why he won Best Editing in the Gold Movie Awards, because it's really good. The color, the lighting went from vibrant and colorful to bam, red lighting, and that red is sustained throughout the psychotic episode. So talking about the psychotic episode in the theater, we have to talk about the dancer, Liam Costello. What a talent. The demon, I wanted him to have kind of a contemporary dancer movement, really eerie, do really cool movements with his body and kind of sharp movements, and then eerie movements and threatening movements. And I think he did a very, very good job. He choreographed it himself. He used his own inspiration, his own movement. And I think he did a really, really good job. I think it's really beautiful. In terms of lighting for that scene, I had a very different vision for what this scene would look like. And I came on set into the theater, and Reese had actually set up these red lights in a circle along with our amazing lighting designer, Jasmine. He'd set them up in a circle and he showed me what they looked like, and it kind of looked like a prison. And I just knew that was perfect. We had to go with that. So as you see, as the demon moves around Emma and threatens her, the lights go from red, and as she starts to freak out, they start strobing. And that's a really, really cool effect that these particular lights were able to do. It's the ending of the film. We go straight from the red, threatening, screaming, close up of the scream to bam, blue. And then my character looks down the lens of the camera, and the ending is how you, the audience, interpret it. Okay, so that is the directing and acting process from being on set. Let's talk now about producing. And I'm just gonna kind of dabble on this one. It was my first time producing a film. I'd produced theater before. One thing that really helped me was having a mentor. My friend Curtis Lee helped me with the screenwriting process. He's also a very talented producer, and he would call me, asking me about where I was in terms of production, give me advice and give me insight. So definitely have a mentor if you can. Getting funding. Films are very expensive. Now, I decided to crowdfund for Rapid. I used the Australian Cultural Fund because it made my film look established, made it look professional, and also it allowed people who donated to claim it back on tax. I also made a campaign video where I discussed my vision for the film. I included clips of Reese's film Pseudomonas and talked about his cinematography. I spoke about my experience with mental health and my director's vision. I filmed some cool little clips on this camera to kind of get an idea of the aesthetic and communicate that. So I made a very creative little video to help with the crowdfunding campaign. Another thing I did, which you don't have to do, but I think it really helped me, was create a little teaser of Rapid. And I had my good friend Jake Jackson and Curtis Lee come on board. We just got his camera and we just went down to Maroubra Beach and got some cool shots of myself going through all the emotions of perhaps the mental health episode in different sections, different parts of the location. And Curtis edited this really great teaser. So I will also link that in the bio because I'm quite proud of that one too. It's a really beautiful, short little 1-minute film. Hiring cast and crew. I hired my friends. As I said, I'd been an established professional actor for, I think it was 7 years at this point. So I had a really good community of friends, of filmmakers. We made films together all the time. So I asked them if they would come on board. I'd worked on their films and they were happy to come work on my film. And it just happened to be that they were very, very, very talented. And it really helped. It made it feel like a safe space for me to be creative and make mistakes and ask questions. It was my first time and they were very, very patient with me. So that's really important. Post-production, film festivals. I submitted Rapid to a bunch of film festivals. I just went on Film Freeway where you can submit them. I think the next time I make a short film, I will be more strategic about what film festivals I am aiming for, because I just submitted it to a bunch of festivals and we won a multitude of awards, but it wasn't specific. And I wasted quite a lot of money as well, submitting to festivals that Rapid wouldn't have been right for and wasn't right for. So be strategic because it is expensive. It's the next day. My camera ran out of battery, so I apologize for the confusion there. I decided to upload Rapid to YouTube. Why not? Let's get the film seen. And I'm really, really glad I did because people are commenting saying, I relate to this film, this is my story, which is exactly the objective that I wanted from the beginning. I wanted people to feel seen, heard, and feel like, they are being represented. And I think we're really achieving that. So I'm super proud of that. So some of my top tips for first-time filmmakers, or if you're looking to make your short film, one big thing I would say is to surround yourself with people you trust from pre-production all the way to post-production. If it's your first time making a film, it's going to be a beast. It's going to be a mammoth. And you want to make sure that you have people that you can ask questions to and that you can feel inspired by, and people who aren't going to judge you, because you want it to be a safe space for you to create. So yeah, try and hire some friends or get people that you trust on board. One thing that I learned on Rapid that I took onto my second film, Blind Turn, was trusting myself. And that's one thing I think as creatives we always need to strive to do. Trust yourself, trust your judgment, trust your vision, and back yourself. Kind of along those same lines would be to have a very clear vision of what you want your film to be. Obviously, things are going to chop and change when you're on set. Some things won't work. There'll be issues. Perhaps people, like in the case with Rapid, people came up with amazing ideas on set and we had to adjust and change on the day. And I'm so glad we did. So be open to change, but also be very clear about what you want the message of your film to be, and make decisions, the creative decisions around that, make them really strive for that objective. A very, very important tip would be to, if you can't pay your cast and crew, which you probably might not be able to if it's your first film, if you don't have the budget for it, make sure you feed them good quality food, make sure you have snacks, a variety of drinks, make sure their needs are met. And if you can, I really, really recommend this one. Pay their expenses, pay their travel expenses, pay any parking expenses. Try not to have people around you out of pocket for making your film. That one can be controversial, but I just like doing that. It's just nice knowing, it makes you feel valued when someone says, I really want you in the film, I can't pay you, but I will cover your expenses. It makes you feel valued. Last of all, have fun. It doesn't have to be so serious. Make sure you enjoy the entire process. Filmmaking is my love. I love it. I love being on set, and I know that you are going to love it too. So voila, that is how I produced, wrote, directed, and starred in my debut short film, Rapid. And if you have any questions about making a film or anything that you saw in this video that you're not too sure about, comment below and I'm happy to help you out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time.